what's up guys? Jerome here from the Bonsai Supply and welcome to today's video. Now in today's video, I wanted to tell you a little bit about one of my absolute favorite trees that I have ever owned, which is my Brazilian Raintree. Take a look at this beautiful tree. Now sit tight while I tell you the story of this tree. Alright, so let me start out by telling you how I actually acquired this tree. So about 12, 13, maybe even 14 years ago, this tree and we go really far back. When I just had moved to Florida from Chicago, I started to really get into tropical trees because I had the climate for it finally. So I was really on the hunt for some good material that was a little bit bigger that I could take to the next level. And so one day I came across this Craigslist listing. Back then we still used Craigslist. And this guy had his entire collection for sale, his bonsai collection, of course. And since he was only about 20 minutes from me, I decided to go and visit him. And to my luck, I was the very first one to respond to that Craigslist listing. And so I bought about 8 trees from him. So of course I brought the Brazilian Raintree, I bought a huge Jaboticaba, a white umbrella, a willow leaf ficus, a cypress, and something else. So I got a really good deal on all of those trees because I was the first one there. And since I bought a lot of trees, he gave me a really, really good deal. So that's how I got a hold of this Raintree. I brought all 8 trees home. Of course, I had to go rent a U-Haul truck to actually pick up the trees and then bring them all back home to my backyard. So sometimes you do luck out on these backyard deals. When somebody goes out of business, somebody gets into business, so to speak, right? So he was getting out of the hobby of bonsai, I was getting into it, and it just worked out. Now, when I brought the Brazilian Raintree home, I actually didn't photograph it right away. Back then, I was not into photographing trees, or I used to forget to remember to take photos. I would work on the trees and then take the photo after, so there's no before or after picture. So this picture that I'm showing you here of the Brazilian Raintree is about 2 to 3 years after I purchased it. That's how long it took for me to take the first photo of this tree. So basically, it looked a lot skinnier than it does in this photo. And the way that I got it from pretty much a pre-bonsai, because it came in a big Home Depot tub, like one of those cement mixing tubs, and it had only black soil. So the first thing that I did is I repotted it out of that black soil. I washed out all of the soil, so I bare rooted it, and then potted it into this round pot that you see right here with good bonsai soil. And then I had it in this pot for about 2 to 3 years. And so the way that I got it from that to looking like this is by continuously letting it overgrow, or letting it overgrow big time. So the first 2 years, I would let the canopy overgrow like maybe 4 or 5 feet out of the actual canopy. That does a number of things. It thickens the branches, it thickens the trunk, but also it increases the vigor and makes the tree very healthy. So after the first 3 years were up, I repotted this tree into a wooden box, a really large one, and a shallow one. Now that does a number of things as well. Having a shallow pot increases the root spread, but also thickens up the trunk again, because the roots can only go horizontally, they cannot go down. So naturally, the trunk has to thicken up to support all of the weight and stop itself from toppling over. So then again, after the 3 years, once I had it repotted into this box, I would just let it overgrow, and I would use guide wires, attach them to the branches and bring them down. Now that would stop the branches from floating up too much, so I was able to keep the branches pretty like horizontally and create this really, really beautiful branch structure that you see here on this Brazilian Raintree. I have never used any wire on this tree. This entire tree was developed with the clip and grow method. So using the guide wires to hold the branches down, letting the tree overgrow, and then just cutting it back. Letting it overgrow and cutting it back. That's how I did it. And so of course, when I repotted it into a larger pot, I had to make sure that I used good bonsai soil, something that would allow for air to come into the pot and aerate the roots, but also doesn't hold too much water. So I needed something that was free draining. And that's exactly how our soil was born. So I've been using this soil for over 15 years, which is now known as the all-purpose Bonsai Supply soil mix, which is lava, pumice, calcine clay, and pine bark. So as you can see, I've used it for a very, very long time and I've gotten really amazing results. So right after I released this YouTube video, which was the last YouTube video that I've made of this Brazilian Raintree, a gentleman reached out to us, and this happens quite often when we release YouTube videos. People reach out to us via email and hey, I really fell in love with this tree that you showed in this YouTube video. Is it for sale? And normally, I've gotten a lot of questions about this Raintree if it was for sale, but normally I would never even think about it twice because I love this tree so much. However, I was kind of in a tricky situation at this point. After the video was released, the temperature started to drop, my greenhouse just finished building, and the Raintree just would not fit into the greenhouse. It wouldn't be able to fit through the doors. So they didn't they didn't have a greenhouse for sale with big enough door openings for the Raintree to fit through. Because like I said, the opening, the canopy size of the tree was about 5.5 feet. So I knew that if I cannot fit it into the greenhouse, that the tree would not survive naturally. It's too cold in Atlanta. So since the gentleman reached out to me, he said he really fell in love with it. And I actually knew the gentleman a little bit. We've met a couple times before. And I wanted to make sure that, you know, he has a skill set to take care of this tree further down the road. So he sent me some pictures of his trees that he has in his own collection that are really well established, and I felt really comfortable with selling my tree to him. So we struck a deal. He came with the U-Haul, picked it up, and drove it to Houston, Texas, where it resides still to this day, and it is looking beautiful. So it was kind of a bittersweet day. I was really sad that I didn't have to sell it, but I decided to sell it because it was the right thing to do at that moment. I'd much rather sell a tree that I don't want to sell instead of keeping it and knowing that it's not going to survive, or it's going to be like a 50-50 chance. That's way too scary for me, so that's why I sold it. And whenever I am in Houston, I get to see the tree. I visit him. We talk and visit the tree, and you know, so it's a beautiful thing that he's now sharing the tree with me, and it's still looking great. So at the end, it was a good decision that I've made, and I'm still happy with the decision today. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video today and liked learning about the journey of this Brazilian Raintree. And hopefully I was able to answer all of the questions that you may have had. I've gotten tons of questions over the years. Jerome, what happened to this Brazilian Raintree? Why don't we see it anymore? The cat is out of the bag. Now you know. So if you have any questions though, you can leave them down in the comment section. And also, while I have your attention, make sure that you subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you're always up to date and get notified when a new YouTube video comes out and you never miss any of this great content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.